What is going on, Sales Dev Squad? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Sales Dev Squad podcast. We got a super awesome guest for you guys today. We'll be chatting with Lee Rozins, who is currently the head of sales over at Cheetah. Cheetah is the easiest, fastest, and most affordable way for small, medium businesses to get their daily supplies. Really excited to have Lee on the podcast today. We'll be chatting a bit more about, the perks and some of the reasons to sort of turn negatives into positives, surrounding yourself with people who lift you higher, and also some tips for anyone on the job market. Lee, thanks so much for joining us today. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Mateo. I'm well. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for asking, man. I'm definitely excited to chat further with you and dive deeper into your methodology and your thought process around, sales and what you feel like is probably, some super powerful tactics out there for any salesperson or SDR or maybe even SDR on the hunt for their next opportunity. But Lee, let's just kind of dive into it, man. One thing that really stood out to me when I was on your LinkedIn page is you live by a few mottos, and I'll go ahead and just read them here for our viewers. First one is to join the top 1% you have to do what the 99% won't. Surround yourself with people who lift you higher. And last but not least, turn negatives into positives. Now, obviously, it's super easy to get into sort of a negative mindset in these past couple of weeks, these past couple of months. Having watched, Michael Jordan's recent documentary, he always mentioned, turning negatives into positives. So that's definitely something that's fresh in my mind, Lee. But I'd love to turn it over to you, man, and just, if you wouldn't mind just talking briefly about why is it important to turn negatives into positives and furthermore have, an optimistic attitude in sales or just in anything you do, and why being, positive is so important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's rock and roll. And I swear Michael Jordan had to have stolen it from my father when he said that line. But I believe, in life itself, right? 90% of your happiness is actually dictated by your mindset. It's wild to think that, most of the things that are outside of your control, like your upbringing or, family or certain opportunities that come your way, that only triggers the smallest percent of your long-term happiness and success, right? It really does start with your mindset. And fortunately, my father constantly ingrained that in my head growing up as we, along with everybody else, dealt with our own challenges and adversity. He constantly would reiterate this, you've got to find ways to turn these negatives into positives. And a lot of the times you start to see that, you might actually see an opportunity that wouldn't have presented itself unless your mind allowed yourself to interpret this through a very specific lens. And obviously I'm in sales, and I try and teach salespeople, leaders, how to get to the finish line as quickly as they possibly can. And it is not easy to do that unless you've truly conditioned your mind and you understand the psyche of sales. Because let's be real, you have to put yourself in the shoes and in the mind of others when trying to persuade and influence them to listen to you, to buy. And if you want to be able to do that, it starts with you. And giving yourself the right mindset allows you to truly interpret everything for the better. And I could go on and on and on, but this is basically, positive psychology 101. And I truly believe it's been the number one advantage that I've had in my career that has allowed me to kind of get ahead.
That's awesome, Lee. Would you
Thank you.
consider someone, or I guess, would you consider yourself to have always been sort of an optimistic, positive person? Do you feel like maybe earlier in your career or earlier just in life, you were any different? Can anyone, is everyone born with a positive attitude? Is that something that you sort of have to cultivate? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm happy to share my perspective. I'm definitely no Tony Robbins here, but I am a big believer that this makes a massive difference. So I love speaking about it. I grew up as the kid who pretty much got incredibly excited about every little thing, and it was genuine. Like if I had a sandwich and I thought it was so delicious, I made sure that all of my friends the next day wanted to order that sandwich. And if I watched a movie, I had to like stand on top of my bed and call every single one of my buddies and be like, did you see this movie? Did you see this movie? And I don't really know where it came from. I mean, my father was in sales, my brother's in sales, but it was natural and it was genuine. And I saw that I could organically make other people smile and happy. And, at the end of the day, unfortunately, biology, evolution, like you are one day going to grow up and be super old, and you won't have much time left on this planet, and you're going to look back, right? And you're going to wish that you could tell your younger self a few things. And I already know what I would tell my younger self. Unfortunately, I would still consider myself young, right? That's what the 90-year-old Lee would say. Like, you're very young right now, right? Another positive spin, right? Another positive lens look through. And what I would be telling myself is to try and do everything I can every single day to positively impact others around me, right? To try and find ways to put a smile on somebody's face. Will Smith is one of the kings of this. He preaches this over and over and over again. And it's just about that belief that you can actually make a difference, and you can have an interaction with somebody, you can talk to somebody, you can try and sell them something, and then you kind of just made their day because of the way in which you kind of presented yourself and what you're about. You said it before, Matteo, there's a ton of negativity in this world. You see it on the news every day, right? I mean, we're living in one of the scariest times right now with COVID.
Yep.
And it's constantly reminding yourself that there's still so much to be grateful for. Like, we are very, very lucky, all of us. And I don't think that you need to try too hard to remind yourself of everything that's good in life. And it should not be overshadowed by the bad.
Completely agree with you, Lee. I mean, today, for example, I even thought to myself, like, there's a roof over my head. I have a computer, I have a job, I have a family. I already have a lot of things that I'm really thankful for. Um,
Exactly.
and that's, I mean, just taking little steps like that to really just reflect and be thankful. Do you mind just sharing a little bit more about just some ways that maybe you or maybe other reps can take active daily steps to just reflect, be thankful, and sort of, end on a positive note, even if it wasn't the best day, but sort of just reflecting and, turning everything into a positive, as your dad always used to say.
Yes. And not Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Actually, I'm okay if they share that same idea because, I respect both those guys.
Great minds think
Um,
alike, right?
yes, I do. Yes, I'll tell my father you said that, and Michael Jordan. All right, so there's a million answers to that. But what I will say is self-awareness is probably the most powerful piece to lean on here, because if you're self-aware of the statistics and the impact that this actually has on your success and your happiness, then you're already halfway there, right? And what I try and ingrain in my team and everybody I work with is understanding this like concept. I like to call it the law of 10. Okay, I made it up, but you'll see how it makes sense. And basically, the law of 10 tells you that no matter what the situation is, regardless of the type of scenario, you are in that exact situation and in those exact shoes with 9 other people. There's always going to be 10 people who are in your shoes, whether it's a specific job you're in, a challenge you're trying to solve, right? You're not the only person. There's 7.7 billion people on this planet. You could imagine how often other people are in your shoes, right? So you've got this law of 10. And now you have to know that statistics will tell you there's always going to be a chunk of those people who never reach their desired outcome. Then you have to remind yourself, okay, there's probably going to be a chunk of those people that sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And then there's always going to be 1 or 2 of those 10 people who always find a way to reach their finish line, to hit the desired outcome, to kind of like overcome a specific challenge that most people looked at and said to themselves, there's no way I'm going to do that, right? And that's how we are always innovating. We're always accomplishing, new things. It's because you have that one person out of 10 who decides to think a little bit differently, who decides to open their mind and actually is self-aware that, yeah, I actually can do this, right? And it starts with telling yourself that. So I like to draw awareness to that simple fact, because if somebody doesn't think that they can accomplish something, or if somebody doesn't think that you can be positive and see the beauty through difficult time like this, it's just showing you the true facts that there actually are other people out there with all of the exact same common denominators and conditions who are actually perceiving it the right way and going about their way the right way. So I would say that's always step one, right? You'll see that so much of my belief and my methodologies and my ideologies, it all follows the conditioning of your mindset, right? So once that's there, which again, you can always continuously condition that thing because it's powerful. I don't think we've quite figured it out yet, but we're making progress. I would then say to very simply, and this is one of my favorite exercises, and I'm not going to go on and on about this, but this is easy and anybody can do this, right? Shoot a positive note to at least 3 people a day. And I will credit Sean Anker for that. He's the guy who wrote The Happiness Advantage, and I play his videos, his TED Talks, and every one of my trainings. But seriously, try it out, right? It's very easy to exercise, whether it's a text message, an email, a Slack, doesn't matter, right? And genuine compliments. Send it to 3 people every single day. And just by doing that alone, right, you are following this formula for organic happiness. It puts you in a better mood. And naturally, you start seeing what this like positive psychology is really like. I mean, that's one way. There's, you can write down things that you're grateful for every single day, or you can just go back to what I said earlier, right? What would the older Matteo want to tell a younger Matteo, right? Like, what is a difference that you can make right now? Because there's no way that I'm okay not having a major impact or purpose in this beautiful thing that we call life. And if I am still at this ripe young age where I can do something and make a difference, there's absolutely no way I'm going to let anybody else out there make a difference or go down that path where they've looked back on their years and been like, yeah, that's what I did, and I'm proud. I'm just not going to sit by and watch other people do that. I want to be one of those people.
That's super inspiring, Lee. Thanks so much for sharing that, man. I love your attitude about just the culture and the importance of, building a foundational, strong mindset. And of course, just always thinking of others, and really, collaborating positivity and interweaving that with the fabric of the culture. I'd like to dive deeper into, the second motto that you live by, which is like surrounding yourself with people lift you higher. I'm sure you've heard and had experiences working in different cultures and different companies. Like, what are some of the key differences that you see, like maybe an organization that really prides themselves on harnessing positivity and lifting everyone within the organization, and maybe an organization that has sort of a different approach? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love talking about this topic. So I was so fortunate to work for a bunch of people who cared a ton about culture and working in a positive, fun environment. Wiley Cirilli, Kenny Herman, Adam Lehman, these guys who started up Single Platform, which was a B2B SaaS company that I worked for about 5 years in New York. They truly showed me that you can combine fun and happiness and a great uplifting environment with work. And from there, that became my floor. And there was no way I was going to work in an environment, especially where I could build a team from the ground up and not carry that over, because what I really saw was people perform better when they're happier. It's wild, right? Going back to Sean Anker's 2 cents, he talks about the formula for happiness, and people have it so backwards. And this is important for this note, because the formula that most people in society follow is, if I work really, really hard, I'll be super successful. And if I'm super successful, you know what? I'll be happy. And it's so backwards for so many different reasons that I won't get into, because I want people to, go and watch a TED Talk or read his book. It's so worth it. And instead, he says, you have to find organic and natural ways to cultivate happiness, because when you find that right away, again, organically, you want to work hard, and then you'll be successful. But the difference is happiness comes at the beginning. And what I've seen in a work environment over the course of the last 2.5 years, working at Cheetah, is you can recruit people from all walks of life, people right out of school with 10 plus years of experience, and you bring them in and you constantly focus on a positive, uplifting, culture where people see every day as an opportunity to better themselves, but they're actually having fun. And everybody else that works there buys into the same mission, right? That you tie back to your overall company's vision, of course. And you start to see this beautiful environment where people want to come to the office, right? And they want to do the work, even though it's tough work. Like sales is not easy. You and I both know that. There's no way that people wake up every single day and they're like, man, I can't wait to get rejected and hung up. Right? They don't say that, but everybody knows that you keep the wheels of commerce turning, right? You know that sales, everything in the room right now, in your room, in my room, in this entire world, at one point or another was sold by a salesperson. So the job is very important. And in order to do the job well, again, back to having the right mindset. If you could have a positive, happy mindset, it's a game changer. And when thinking about sales specifically, so much of your success is based on how you can persuade and influence the prospect to move along your straight line to the finish line. It is much, much easier for you to move them along to the finish line when they like you, right? When you've built rapport, when they trust you and they believe that every single thing that you're saying is actually the truth and you're the expert. And honestly, if you're in a good mood and you can organically put yourself in a place where you're building rapport and trust much, much sooner, and these people are liking you much quicker, you have made that path so much smoother to the finish line. And of course, your conversion percentages go up, right? You're making more sales, you're more successful. It's an unbelievable formula for happiness. And it starts with the happiness.
Mm-hmm. So I guess where would you rank sort of positivity as far as like in the SDR AE tool belt? I mean, as far as priority, where do you see like positivity and mindset being as far as like a tool, or like how much of that is a priority to just the execution, or just the different tactics or tools or just things that reps should prioritize?
Oh, it's the most important. You've got to prioritize it over anything, right? Like, don't get me wrong, you can have unbelievable sales skills that you've developed. You know how to build value, you know how to tailor your product and your service so well to this person's needs. Like the list goes on and on and on. You might have all of that, right? But any company that cares about truly, going above and beyond to reach all of their dreams, or any leader that wants to reach the company's dreams, knows that they would rather bring in somebody to work for them who is going to positively impact everybody else in that office than somebody who's going to be the top salesperson but will negatively impact everybody else in the office, right? So it's not just about you and your success. It's about, what you're also doing for others. And if you can do your job and make somebody better at theirs because you're just this like bundle of joy and happiness, and you interpret everything for the positive, right? You're always looking at things through that the right lens. You're not being difficult. You're not trying to be argumentative. You're truly bought into trying to
Uplift.
do good. Exactly, to uplift. That's the perfect word. Then that in itself is the biggest win. It really is. There's no better feeling than having some type of impact on somebody else's success, as long as it's positive, right? And in doing so, you should also be seeing an uplift in your success as well. So, I mean, to answer your question, I think that it's the most important. And when I recruit and when I hire, there's no way I would take somebody on my team knowing that they could negatively impact others around them, even if I thought they were going to be an amazing salesperson, because it's going to bring everybody else down.
100%. I love that philosophy, Lee. I'm all bought into that, and I couldn't agree with you more. I feel like the reps that take the time and really appreciate helping their teammates succeed is probably one of the best revenue multipliers any sales org could have, because everyone's trying to help everyone succeed. It's not just a competition. It's about unity and team wins rather than personal wins, you know?
You've got it. Beautiful way to put it. I love that. And going back to the quote, or one of my mottos, surround yourself with people who lift you higher. I've got a fun, quick little story about that quote. Um, well, it came from Oprah, so I'm going to give her the credit. I'm sure other people at one point may have said the same thing, but Oprah is one of the most successful people in the world, and I've never seen her not smiling and exuding, positivity onto others. She just makes people happy, right? Like her, Ellen DeGeneres, list goes on and on and on, those types of people. But one day I took 25 of my favorite quotes, and I sent it out to my company to vote on. And I told everybody, whatever quote has the most votes, we were going to blow it up and put it up on our wall in our office for
Nice.
everybody to see, for the investors, for new hires, for our employees. And when I sent all these quotes out, surround yourself with people who lift you higher, won by 10x more than the second most votes. It was unbelievable to see that everybody at at my company at the time was so much bought into that culture already that it wasn't even a competition. Of course, that's what's going up on our wall. And from that day, I knew that it really was making a difference because, the people had spoken, and there was a lot of good quotes on there, but that's truly what people wanted to see and remind themselves every single day. Because as you walk into the office, and we all have our own new versions of our offices, it's mostly through Zoom now, you do have the option. And the option is, are you going to be one of those people who lift others around you higher or bring them down? Because it's happening no matter what you do, right? There's always going to be A and B. Are you going to be A or are you going to be B? And again, bringing the awareness to that beautiful quote was a win in itself.
That's awesome, man. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I want to cover your last motto because I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Let's just say, we have a rep out there who turns negatives into positives. They surround themselves with people who lift them higher. What's the missing piece? What's sort of that last missing piece that will help turn them into the top 1%?
Yeah, absolutely. So their mindset is there, right? And now they really want to have the ability to influence, right? Mastering that piece of any sale is the key, because if you can influence, then somebody is likely to do what you want them to do. And at the very core of sales, that's exactly what we're doing, right? So I would say that the ability for you to constantly have this assumptive mindset is key. And I know it's, again, another play on the mindset, which you're starting to see as a theme with me, because it is, again, the most important, but everything else organically trickles from this. But being assumptive with every single thing that you do absolutely alters the outcome. It definitely dictates which direction the conversation is headed and the sale is headed. For example, if you said something to a certain prospect and the tonality wasn't assuming that the sale was going to be made, then that person clearly hears that tonality over the phone. And you know what happens? Because you weren't assumptive that the best case scenario was going to happen, that you were going to hit your desired outcome in the finish line and you were going to make the sale, because you weren't assumptive that was going to happen, they felt that. And clearly, people always reflect what you project. And now they're less likely to want to do that. So you've got to constantly just pound into yourself that you're always assuming the sale with everything that you say and with how you say it. One of my favorite easy ways to support this is by telling my guys to say the word perfect, right? If somebody gives me an objection or a challenge or any little thing that, kind of bumps me off of my straight line to Salestown, the perfect word to say is perfect. Because I'm assuming by saying that word that's the exact reason why we're going to stay on my path and we're going to continue going with what I was saying, right? But if I responded with, yeah, so, between my tone and that response right there, they know that this isn't going to work, right? So like there is 100 different ways that we can interpret assumptiveness and how it really does impact your sales. But I will tell you, after now managing and working with thousands of salespeople, the biggest common denominator that I see across all of them, or should I say one of many, is the ability for them to just be incredibly assumptive in their sale, their process, what they say and how they say it. You need to put yourself on the other end of that finish line. And if you can actually do that, you just reverse engineer every little thing that needs to be done in order to get there. But so often, so many people don't.
Mm-hmm. That's super interesting. I never even thought about that, and you're so right. I mean, our prospects can hear when we're not confident in what we're offering and what we're proposing to them, and making those sort of minor tweaks and being cognizant of that. I'm definitely going to be more aware of that myself, so I appreciate it, Lee.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you hit on a word that we could talk about for an hour, confidence. But that is right behind the assumptiveness.
Absolutely. Lee, we're coming close to the end here. I always like to end off the podcast with a particular question here. Obviously, it's a really tough time for SDRs and AEs, as a lot of people are in between jobs, sort of, looking for their next opportunity, or, not even sure that sales is even the right career for them. I was hoping you could share briefly just some tips that you have for anyone on the job market right now, or anyone that just needs a little help securing their next opportunity.
Yeah, love that question. Um, so any good salesperson knows that you have to fill the funnel, right? The more that goes in, the more that comes out. Never stop prospecting. If you're looking for a job, it's no different, right? The salespeople out there that put more in their funnel, more opportunities, speak to more people, reach out to more people. It's a law of numbers, right? More likely are going to be to land that next opportunity. So my big advice would be treat this like a sale, play the numbers game, and be aggressive in reaching out and truly showing everybody that you're available and they'd be lucky to hire you. I would also, again, just remind everybody that there's unfortunately lots of people in those shoes right now, and to remind yourself that lots of people are going to get opportunities today, tomorrow, next week, and so on. And that should be you. And if you tell yourself that will be you, again, you, just like you were selling, will reverse engineer exactly what you need to do in order to get that next job. But if you don't think it'll happen, it won't happen.
Got
So
to
make
be
it happen.
assumptive, right?
Exactly. It's so powerful in influencing and getting what you want in sales, getting a job, anything. I mean, I could give you a lot of fun stories, but then you and I wouldn't be able to go back to our other work for the rest of the day. So I'll spare them for next time.
Yeah, we got to table this for part two, Lee. Really appreciate you hopping on the podcast today. For anyone listening out there that would like to, reach you directly, obviously you do some side stuff as well. Where can they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So my name is my website, leerozins.com. I post a lot of content on my blog on my website. There's a little contact me, and it's pretty much the same as what I post on LinkedIn. So either one I'm pretty responsive on.
That's awesome, Lee. Definitely checked out his website. Lee's got some awesome content on there. Anyone listening out there, please check his stuff out. He has a lot of awesome stuff. Lee, thanks so much for hopping on today. I'd love to have you back in the future, man, to touch base, see how those brains are doing. But thank you so much for being an awesome guest today.
My pleasure. Awesome meeting you, man.
Of course. Sales Depth Squad, thank you guys for tuning in to another one. We'll catch you on the next one.